The Land Art Project is a coming together of a number of farmers and a number of artists, where the artist is placed in the home of the farmer, and over a period of 2 weeks the farmer and the artist is collaborating to develop some form of art.
The Lockyer Valley Land Art Project has come through a partnership initiative of the Creative Recovery Network. We're a network of artists and organisations that look at the role arts and culture play in disaster recovery. So post the 2011 floods and again the 2013 floods here in the Lockyer Valley.
The thing I remember the most is the phones ringing, like all the phones ringing in the house.
Then we sort of looked to the west and saw this massive sort of wall of water coming up over the railway lines.
Every mobile ringing with the evacuation.
And so we all started running.
Which is very unnerving when you're trapped in your house and you can't get out.
So I think there was about 16 of us up there, 7 children, 3 of them were mine. And watching houses turn up on their sides as the water hit and people floating past us on the road on cars. And yeah, so we got out, we survived.
I think somehow you never get over it, like it's just something that will always be with you.
Had a lot of issues, anxiety issues, PTSD.
We lost practically all of our crops that we had in.
But it's just that emotional loss on top of everything else.
And then of course 2 years later it happened again.
The project began with a consultation period where we looked for and gathered interest from farmers and artists to be involved. We then had the residencies in the farms, and they concluded with a small private gathering on the farms to celebrate the outcomes of the work.
We had a musician, his name's Jason Troutman, come and stay with us for the 2 weeks.
G'day Leighton.
How you going, Joe?
Pretty good, mate.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, so this is obviously sweet corn, growing for the fresh market in Australia. We're growing carrots and broccoli and onions, some pumpkins. I guess it's very hard in commercial life and industry to take time out for this sort of stuff. Night, James.
Yeah, good night, Leighton. Well, this is where I've been staying for the last 3 days. I was thinking, how do I get this guy who plants crops to sit down with me, become musical and write a song? Or was it?
I think there was hesitancy on both sides to start with, but I think particularly in the second week, those barriers were completely gone. I just put it in my back pocket and forgot about it. 2 years later I'm married, or 3 years later I'm married.
Well, see, it's something we should acknowledge in this story, I think. But
he cried with us, he celebrated with us. In other words, he got to know us. He got to know our stories, where we've been, where we're going, where we've come from.
And the difficult part was, am I going to be able to reproduce that in words and musics?
I think one of the key achievements of this project is really demonstrating how to what people would perceive to be two completely different sectors, being arts and culture and farming, and how they actually can work well together. Seton Fire Chili Chocolate Farm in Murphy's Creek was one of the participants, and their artist was Tamara Kirby, who was an installation and performance artist.
The work at Seton Fire was an installation in response to quite a few things. Personal stories of tragedy and loss, the actual farm and land itself. I responded to the meaning of survival and how do we endure the nature of nature.
Mum's the chocolatier, I run the business, and we both do the farming.
Look, initially, it took a lot of understanding from my part to get my head around it.
When I was here with Lynn listening to stories of the events that took place just around here, it was so overwhelming at times that I think I got quite caught up in the emotional content of all of that. Her neighbour, which is, if you look through here past the tree, you can actually see where the neighbour's house was. It was totally washed away. They found the little girl, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks later when they were cleaning up the debris, but they didn't find her dad, and they eventually discovered his body 87 kilometres from his house site, where, as Lynn told me, he was trying to get his family to safety up onto the highest point of the land.
I decided to write an instrumental piece of music, which was left with Linton Brimblecombe to have a listen to. So this string is you, and that string is Melinda. They listened to it and they got ideas for words, so we wrote a song. In my research I took photos, and the photos were about the songs, so everything was related. And then I wrote another piece of music about George Brimblecombe, the bloke who started the whole farming industry for the Brimblecombes here in the Lockyer Valley.
Another farm that was participating in the Land Art project was Bare Essentials at Moreton Vale. That's Brendan and Jan Dipple. They have herbs and green leaf vegetables, and their artist in residence was Birgit Grapperton. She's a local visual artist and sculptor.
It's been a bit of a trick to allow yourself to get involved in it and carried along with it, rather than just thinking, you know, it's a waste of time. There's better things I should be doing, because I think at the end of the day it is actually important, and I think that's actually my learning curve through the process.
When I think I was only 2 weeks here, then I have to say it's amazing how much we achieved in this short time.
But I happened to say that we hadn't done any art for a number of years or anything like that, nothing creative, and I felt the urge to get creative again. And she said, "Jan, you can't be creative without a space. You need a studio."
I'm totally thrilled that I could unlock again Jan's creativity. That was for me actually the highlight.
So we got busy and we've cleaned it out. I've milk painted the walls and I've started a hobby. And the other thing that we've done is actually gone around the farm looking at old disused machinery and just looking at them and seeing how they speak, what they say, and if we could actually turn them into some sort of creation. Everything is beautiful. Even if it's a rusty old piece of metal, it's beautiful. And then you look at it and you think, it's a rusty old piece of metal. And then she points it out and she shows you how the light shines off it all through it, and you think, oh, it's beautiful.
Well, Lockyer Cut Flowers, we grow red roses for the wholesale market.
And their artist in residence was Corrie Wright, who is an installation artist.
I guess the first experience for me was a really intense, immersive experience. The landscape was vast, the family was huge, really, and the stories that were told were really, really intense from the experience they had in the 2011 floods. The challenges, I guess, were about being immersed into a situation that you only have a short period of time to have any understanding of. Their life continues to go on, and we're added to that. The family did embrace what I did, even though I know that they found some of it challenging.
Corrie's idea of art's not what I had in mind of what art was, so it's something new to me as well. So yeah, very different experience for me.
I actually created an interactive installation, really about do those experiences that we have in life eventually nourish us.
She sort of had the leanings towards a Buddhist sort of alms bowl, which I suppose for us is a bit, we have Buddhist leanings, I suppose, so she cottoned onto that.
And so it was about that whole notion of who gives and who receives.
And I like the way that the children led it, yeah, because it's family for us is probably the most, and our children are the most important things.
No, it's a wheel hub under there.
Oh, right underneath.
Yeah. But hopefully everybody or every second person has one of these farm maps.
This it's our guest book, so everyone can sign, of course, by chiseling their name in the stones. We created a map that people can explore our creations or get an idea of what we actually did.
Like once upon a time I thought artists and farmers were like this, and now I think they're like this. We're going to walk down to the artwork, and then we're going to do a further journey down to a very special place on Lynn's land. No one is going to read what you answer to this question. So I would like you to all sit for a moment in silence down there and think about your answer first.
It wasn't until very late this afternoon and I went down and lit the fire that I realised what a beautiful spot I live in, and I miss going to the creek, even though I don't swim in the creek. It was always nice to go there and sit and contemplate, and I'll be doing that now, and it's something I haven't done for over 3 years. Tamara being here has given me somewhere to sit, because there is a place, and she's made that place for me.
And then we finished up this week at the Lockyer Valley Lifestyle Expo as a way of having a more public exhibition of the work.
And that was an opportunity for the artists to reflect on their own experiences, their own individual experiences on each farm, and then come together and work on something that could be demonstrated at the expo and start to engage the wider community about how arts and farming can work together.
Pleased to be opening this exhibition of artwork commissioned by the Lockyer Valley Land Art Project and Creative Recovery Initiative.
So we're looking at Land Art Project 2015 at the moment. So we're keen at the expo to meet up with any local farmers or business people who might be interested in working with us.
Just doing our sign out the front and having Birgit out there working on it, we've stopped all the neighbours, they've stopped and asked, and they've all been interested in what's going on.
So the outcome of this project is to continue with land and arts and farming trails where visitors can come and see what we have here.
The Lockyer Valley Arts Corps is very keen to see how they might tap into cultural tourism.
I think we have an exciting future. I think we have a lot to offer.
Bring them into the landscape, enable them to link into our small towns, spend their money, enjoy the sights and understand the richness of what the Lockyer Valley offers.
Tough times, there's been fun times, there's been times when we've roused at each other. There's been times when we've hugged each other in love. There's been lots of times together. At the end of the day, we just say, I love you.
So taking time out to be part of such a thing, I think, although it's a challenge, it's such a wonderful learning and growing opportunity.
You think that it's all about you, like you're so focused on what's happening to you, you don't really get in the broader picture of that there's other farmers that were just as badly affected.
After what Tamara has created and what we've seen tonight, everybody should do it. Everybody should have an artist on their farm.
Very important to bring artists and farmers together, and especially after recovery. I think it's a great way also to speak about it.
It's very subtle but very important. It's about feeling emotionally connected to the land that you're on and seeing the beauty in what can be a very hard environment.